Welcome to the Militia Gaming community. I'm Trigger, and this one is all about the 2013 Chevrolet Corvette Z06 in Need for Speed Unbound. Let's go! Before I get into it, if you're looking for any of my builds, you can go to militiagamingco.com, click on builds, and then select the game you're looking for a build for. I've got two spreadsheets and they're all listed right there. You can see everything that I've done on both games. All right, let's get into it. I'll get straight to the point. I've got two builds for you in this video, a race build and a drift build. This car is an excellent drift car and an average to above average race car. I highly recommend it for drift because it's very user friendly. It's not super twitchy, it's not sluggish, it enters drifts really easily, it maintains speed well enough, and it transitions really good. As a race car, it's just okay. The times I ran in my testing weren't bad by any means, but definitely not top tier. I tested it in S and A+ for race, and the S tier builds just never really felt right, and the times they got were average to below average, so I ended up dropping it down into A+. And on Drifter's Delight, which is my Corner King test course for A+, I ran a 150.38, which is honestly not bad at all, especially considering the car will only get to a 60% grip on the handling slider. As drifty as this car wants to be, it actually hooks up after the burst turns really nicely, and it accelerates well as well. I think manual players will definitely have an advantage with this car because first gear is notoriously long. An upshift or two at the start would really go a long way, but I do all of my testing in automatic. I also tested it on Skyline Sprint so I could compare the top speed with other cars in the A+ tier, and it actually did okay. Its problem is that it doesn't have enough power to climb to the top speed it has in its stats, which is 189. So it runs a 153.33, which is really just meh for that class. But moving over to the drift build, I built this thing for S tier drift, and it's an absolute scoring monster. Its greatest strength is transitioning. It swings fast, but not out of control where it feels like you're on the verge of over rotation every time you transition from left to right. When driving it, you never really feel out of control, which makes it super user friendly. And like I said earlier, it doesn't have any glaring flaws when it comes to drifting, but the one thing I could point to is that it doesn't boast very much power and torque for that class when you compare it to other cars. I wish it had maybe 100 more horsepower and torque. The reason that comes into play for drifting is in the longer sweeping corners that are kind of slow speed, the more power you have generally equals more wheel spin, which allows you to take those corners a little bit slower without ending your drift. It's something that the Camaro does really well because it's got over 1,000 horsepower and torque. But its transition ability really does make up for that in the end. If you end a drift early, which is a problem, you can always seem to get out of that problem or out of that situation by nosing and weaving back and forth. It's not the prettiest thing that you can do, but it does score high, and that's sort of the name of the game here. Alright, there's not really much more I can say about it, so I'll just play for you my highest scoring run on City Serpent to show you what's possible and honestly what I'm capable of. I know there are other drifters out there who will blow my score out of the water, but this is my best score on this event so far, and I've tested a lot of drift cars since the Volume 3 update. So enjoy this run, and shout out to all the Heat 5 members. I'll catch you on the next one. Trigger out.